Okie dokie. So, we've been talking about it for about a million years, I think. I don't know. My life has been going pretty far left and right and every other direction forever and ever. But the time has come. We are going feet first into the realm of Final Fantasy D20. My name is Tommy. And I guess, as always, even though these are just prologues before I kick things off, to all of my patrons in the chat, there's a lot of you. There are a lot of players in this game, which is why you guys see my webcam, but we don't see anybody else's because there's a lot of bodies. So we will be running just everybody on Discord, my mic picking up here, my webcam picking up there. But patrons of mine, thank you guys so much for your support. Big shout out to Wiffle Possum Productions for hooking up everybody with some sweet art, and Tiki for financing some sweet art. I think we all look a lot, but as you guys have seen from this man with this fancy purple card and this quarterstaff with other fancy cards things, today our first session will be with somebody I've known for ever and ever and ever, basically since like 2014. Yeah, it was 2014, had to have been. Basically the guy who is indirectly responsible for Black Dragon Gaming being a channel, because it was at his apartment that I cut my proverbial teeth, as it were, playing, oh god, the most dumb, overpowered, broken Gestalt games with a lot of abusive leadership. I think at the end of my Cthulhu game there were 3 players, 24 characters, something like that. Yeah, it was dumb. I get a lot of crap for that now here at the house. But Mr. Josh King is joining us today. Josh, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing really good. I've been looking forward to this Final Fantasy game for quite a while. And so here we are. Let's do this.
Here we are indeed. Josh actually played I guess, did Kavaya come from the same site as what we're using? She did, didn't she?
Yeah, I went to follow that website and looked up the Vieira template and ran with it.
Fair enough. So I guess I've been using FFD20 for a lot longer than I thought I was, but it's definitely, this game is all about it, showcasing the Wrath of Villadin. Basically, there is some Paizo stuff, but we are mostly focusing on these classes, these races. And speaking of that, Josh, what are you playing? What have we rolled up? And by we, I mean the next episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit when I get this character together. Who are you?
Right,
what are you playing?
Right, because I've not looked at the character sheet or anything, so... But I am playing Runtling, who prefers to be called the Lizard Wizard. He is a gambler, specifically a card shark, slash black mage from Rabbit Caster.
Similar yet distinct.
Which is a medium-sized city made up, whose leadership is a council of various Vieira mages who decided, whose ancestors 100 or so years ago decided that city life was better than living in the forest. So basically outcast Vieira. and my character Runtling, he was, as his name implies, the runt of his family, and they didn't, and his parents just gave him that name, and basically didn't really parent him so much as just say, go do whatever and let us know if you die or something. So in Rabbit Caster, being a city where magic is very prevalent, he spent a lot of his development years going to the library and reading a lot of books, and through reading a lot of books he started to learn magic. Unfortunately, when he got into his teenage years, specifically 15, the council decided that they had gotten sick and tired of um, the amount of non-Vieira magic users, specifically a group of those non-Vieira magic users that had that kept making fun of them and saying not so agreeable things about their governing abilities, and decided, okay, we're just gonna put a stop to that. And if you're not a Vieira, you don't get to use magic. Um, and um, Thankfully for Runtling at the time, there was a traveling circus in town, and seeing as he wouldn't be able to live in Rabbitcaster anymore, he decided to see if he could join this troupe of traveling circus, and that's where he learned his abilities with cards. And he traveled with them for a few years, and now at the age of 20, after having left that traveling circus, he's now on his own, and but he has the power of magic, and he has the power of throwing charged cards, and here we are.
Indeed, here we are. So one question I have for you that I wanted to ask on stream, because it's going to become relevant as the campaign progresses. I couldn't find anything myself, and truly, like, Paizo doesn't have anything for, like, their lizard folk on this. So I will let you answer for your entire race. Are the Banga cold-blooded? Because they
Yes,
kind of, like,
they are.
fair enough.
They would have more difficulty living or traveling through places that are not warm. So that will be something he has to figure out.
Okay, I can live with that. I just, before I, like, dumped it on you, because, like, you guys have seen the first map, it won't necessarily be a warm place, but you being a lizard, literally by name, I wanted to make sure we were, like, on the same page with that.
Right.
Anywho, so you guys, we'll pick you up from, I guess, basically a normal day in the caravan. You guys travel from basically town to town. And for all the viewers who don't know, we are playing in a tech level, generally speaking, a la the 1940s on planet Earth. Some people will have considerably more tech, some people will have considerably less, but that's kind of the standard. That said, you guys go from, towns of about 2,000 people, give or take, just like little rural farming communities, bouncing from town to town, making enough money to survive. These days, that's not a whole heck of a lot, though. There has been, on the horizon, the judges have been looking across, like, the part of the world in which you guys find yourselves eager to expand. They believe that, well, it's kind of not necessarily divine right, but, like, the divine power of absolute law. And by that, they have, like, all of the rights they need to basically just sweep across the world and take all of the vagabonds of society that a lot of people out here truly are under their iron fist. The troop itself consists of you, a pair of taller, imagine if you will, like a rat folk, but considerably taller and considerably less hairy, as well known as Burmesians, as well as two burly ape-like creatures that from basically birth, they're given these masks that they wear as a sort of, like, to repent from a long warlike tradition and move towards ways of peace. And by mask, I mean, like, it covers their face and then two wings shoot off, defying gravity almost, like, back out the side of their heads over their shoulders. They're known as the Gareth. In addition, there are a pair of Humes and the troop's de facto leader, a grizzled old Moogle by the name of Grimo. He's basically the one responsible for putting everything together and keeping everyone fed and taken care of and stuff. That said, times are particularly tough. You guys have a like medium-sized-ish truck with which you use to carry yourselves and all of your gear and things. but it hasn't run in about 6-7 weeks. You guys just aren't making enough gil to fix it. So a chocobo has been strapped to the front. One of the Gareth actually is kind of like the, I won't say animal tamer, but you get the idea. He and the chocobo do tricks across the land for their like act in the circus, and that is presently what's pulling the truck. It is about midday. And I will, as far as like these kind of things go, as far as one-on-one character backstories, I'm basically just going to turn it to you, Josh. What would Runtling do, kind of like middle of the day traveling?
Well, uh, I think he would be at just kind of looking out, making sure everything's safe. There's no threats. Um, if it's just them, he's like he wouldn't he wouldn't like his mental state. He wouldn't be worried so much about like what they're going through because he's been through hard times before. And he has a family now in a sense, so he's still kind of in the best place he's been. But he's looking out for anything that is dangerous.
Okay.
What do the do like as far as like eating and stuff? Do does the troop like hunt?
You guys basically, like, the setting is modern enough that if you were to go, like, traipsing out with a weapon into the middle of the woods, somebody would probably see it and call the authorities. It's more along the lines of the money that you guys earn is then spent at a local, like, general store on
Okay,
just, like, really easy to keep rations.
sure. Does Rentley know like how far we are from like the next town? Like,
You
does
guys should reach the town of, it's called Nordo. You'll reach it probably in the next couple of hours. You'd have reached it much earlier had like your vehicle worked, and thus you guys are kind of behind schedule for what is a you guys are basically a touring act. Yeah, I have to imagine you guys have managers and things,
right?
but you guys should reach there given as slow as you guys are going by around nightfall.
Okay, so yeah, he'd just be looking out, keeping. I think he'd be up front, keeping the chocobo steady, and like just um, doing that. Like it's kind of a lazy day. Like just okay. Once we get to the next town and we're around, people that we can entertain, then you know, then that's he'll light up, so to speak. But for right now, he's just trying to travel and get to the next town and make sure they get there safe.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, the day goes pretty easily. As far as safety goes, you guys are kind of by virtue of your skills in the circus, everybody kind of has some form of defending themselves. The two Burmesians are skilled acrobats and often will perform with what are essentially quarterstaves. And you have seen them get accosted like late at night coming back to wherever like hotel you guys are staying at. Somebody try to mug them and then dexterously cartwheeling around and whap whap whap. That guy learned to not mess with that particular group of individuals. Same with the Gareth, who have a pretty almost divine connection to the chocobo. They it almost appears like they speak to it when like they move forward and go to like make sure it has its Geishel greens and things of that nature. And the chocobo has been known to ride off in like their defense should bad things happen. Poor old Grimo does, like, though firearms are pretty strictly like regulated in this part of the world, Grimo does have a little like sidearm hidden in his little tiny belt pouch, and you've seen him Though he basically fills the role of like ringleader. For lack of a better word, he's certainly more than capable of like being the, I guess, like the marksman of the circus, that kind of thing, like throw up the plate, shoot the plate behind his head, things of that nature. With that in mind, the roads are pretty safe as far as like monsters and things. They're basically unheard of. You could certainly go farther out and find them, but out here it's pretty cleared off for like farming communities and things of that nature. In any case, as you guys go traveling, I'll say a pair of Humes. I was gonna just grab random races forever, but I'll keep it kind of in game from where Abanga is from. They are going the other direction down the road, and betwixt the two of them is what you assume is a husband and wife's child, and they see you guys traveling, and he points, just, circus! This little kid starts like pulling up against his parents, who like, they obviously would like to just keep walking. They have a little like chocobo drawn cart. They're obviously very local, but you guys get really close, and the kid begins making a huge ruckus about things, and the parents start like looking awkwardly up in y'all's directions. Grimo turns to you and kind of like flutters. Moogles can't fly forever, but they can kind of fly for a little while with their wee little bat wings. Flutters up to stand on the back of the cart near you and just, oh, what kind of horrible voice could I give a Moogle? Yeah, I'm just going to go with the one I've had in my head forever. Well, now's your chance, Kupo! He nods into you with his little shoulder. Go show the boys some card tricks. Earn us some money, Kupo! The parents kind of look awkwardly at each other. The child, like, all eyes open in wonder, begins, like, clapping and as obviously all the attention is turned to you.
Okay, so I will I'll smile at the kid and the parents, and I'll say, wonderful day, isn't it?
They all kind of
say, tell the parents and the kid I'm a traveling magician with this circus.
The parents look back and forth at each other, kind of like, yeah. But you can tell without having to like suss them out too much that they really don't want to stop right now. However, the child moves forward and just, you're a magician? Can you show me magic? His eyes like light up as if this is like exactly what he wanted to see today. His parents relinquish hold of his little hands, but stay kind of close by, awkwardly looking back and forth at each other, and then over to like you and the troop at large. The chocobo warks at the top of its lungs behind you.
So I'm going to basic version of the cantrip that lets you do like little random things.
Prestidigitation?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then like just do it in a way where like you'll see a little flame or a little spark, or and just I can make him dance and such.
Okay, fair enough. You make the little sparks in the fire go out, and the child begins clapping and just.
And I do it up in the air, so that way there's no chance that it's safe.
The parents both put away their shotguns. And no, I'm kidding. The parents are kind of taken aback, nonetheless, at like the notion of this kind of thing happening, but the kid just continues like clapping and carrying on. This probably lasts for about 5 minutes before Grimo begins like. He doesn't necessarily wear the hat, because he couldn't wear the hat given the fact that he has a whoop poof ball that kind of hangs over the top, and to wear a hat that is used to collect money with a hole in it to keep his whoop through, if for lack of a better way to say what that body part is called, would be completely nonsensical. Nevertheless, he carries a little like bowler hat, basically, and he begins moving over towards his parents and, wow, wasn't that wonderful, Kupo? Thank you for supporting the circus. like poking in the direction of the parents, who eventually grudgingly throw a couple of gil in before moving on. You
So I
guys,
will,
good.
before they move on, um, I will pull out my deck of cards and say, "Youngling, pick a card."
Okay. The child comes over.
And the cards that I pull out have, pictures of creatures on them and, things a kid would like something you'd see in a coloring book.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I am frantically. There we go. I knew I had a dice bag at this table somewhere. Oh, turns out we will need RNG today after all. Take that, character backstories. Okay, I'm gonna just throw this D10 at the table. I have that number. Okay.
And I close my eyes as I do this because I'm take a look at it. Don't tell me what it is.
Okay. So as you say that, the kid pulls the card. Oh, it's a, and he promptly like puts his hand over his mouth to stifle himself from saying what was on the card.
Now put it back in the deck, and we'll see if I can find it.
Okay. The kid does so.
Okay, so I shuffle the deck and I do like dramaticism and then I hold the deck in place and I flip over the first card and I say, "Is this your card?"
We will let the percentage dice decide that. Well, bam. Well, no, we won't. You're good at what you do. You know it's the right card. These kinds of card tricks, you being the person who can throw a card and make it explode, it's not hard to do basic sleight of hand. The kid's eyes light up and he begins, yeah, and clapping as obviously it in fact is his card. The card in question, I decided I wanted to pull something from Final Fantasy's Bestiary instead of settling for what I rolled. Oh, it could be. Yeah, that works. The card is about the size of like a standard playing card, but this thing takes up so much room on that card that like almost like the tops of its feathers go up over the edge and some of its tail doesn't quite cut it. The image on the card is a gold chocobo standing just like majestically against a mountain background.
Okay, so I'll take a little pen and I'll say, "Well, this card is now yours to keep." And I sign it Lizard Wizard on the card and I hand it to him. I say, may you and your parents have a wonderful day."
The kid is absolutely thrilled at this notion. Actually, matter of fact, these cards are probably all kind of maybe not like on the order of some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I have to imagine there's a certain degree of foiling involved in a professional performer's deck. So like the card turns and there's a little bit of like light shine across the chocobo's feathers. You sign it, the parents come and look at it, they pick it up, take a look, they kind of look back and forth at each other before letting the kid, who is just kind of like jumping as high as he can trying to get this card back, have his new toy. And they go off and you guys continue in the direction of the city of Nordeaux, excuse me. It's not France. I stole it from France, though. As you guys do that, Grimo, as you guys are walking, just kind of looks over you and just, hey, Runtling, you never told us. Why do you call yourself that name, Kupo? I don't understand. Isn't that not what we're supposed to call a Branger? I thought you guys didn't like being called a lizard.
And I tell him, I said, something I learned a long time ago. My real name is Runtling, which isn't good either. My parents didn't give me a proper name because they didn't think I was worth it.
You are kind of small for a Branger, Kupo. He nods thoughtfully and his little head pom-pom bobs up and down.
But I learned a long time ago that to take my name and make it something positive. And so I call myself the Lizard Wizard because I take that name that normally would be mean and harsh and all that, and I wear it like armor proudly so that it can never hurt me.
Grimo nods his head thoughtfully at this. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard, Kupo. Well, alrighty, fine by me. And as he continues kind of like going on in general blustering, turning back towards the Burmesians and giving them what he would call pointers, what we would call like harsh criticism about their act, you guys turn the corner and the city comes into sight. Not a lot of cities in this part of the world still have like proper walls, because with the advent of like planes and airships and things that can fire off artillery and such, a wall is kind of not the best defense in the world. Nordo still does. Over the walls hang a... It's hard to tell from here because it's still kind of a ways off. But from like the fact that you can see it as in detail as you can from the distance indicates it must be huge. A black flag has been hung overside of the walls, which displays upon it in red. It kind of looks like a circle with several like spikes coming out of it at odd angles, which you and everyone in the troop who like kind of all collectively as they see this, it's the symbol of the Empire of Judges. Grimo turns in everyone's directions. Well, we knew the judges were going to try to expand, Kupo. I guess they did it a little faster than we thought. He turns his eyes across everyone. You guys know we run this thing as a team, as a family. And so I ask all of you, do we go into that city or don't we? The two Humes lean into each other and start kind of just like quietly whispering. They are much like what you just passed, a married couple, and the woman is pretty heavy with child. The Burmesians look real downcast. Their ears kind of droop a little. Their tails kind of slap onto the ground. The Gareths, it's hard to tell what they're thinking behind those masks. But they both kind of go silent and start petting the chocobo, who walks with like the warble of caution. Grimo turns your direction. Well,
and to feel about entertainment.
I'm sorry?
Do I know how the judges, the Empire judges, their laws concerning like entertainment, like groups like us? Like, are we going to be treated well, treated harshly? Are we going to just be banned outright from performing? And do we have a, maybe not a strict legalese sense of that, but do we at least have that feeling of, okay, we know this good, bad, or not?
It's really hard to say. In the eyes of the judges, they see themselves as not necessarily, again, the divine right to rule, but like legally they have the right to rule because they are one of the most like technologically advanced, forward-thinking empires in terms of technology anyway, in like the known area around you. And the world is a pretty big place, so you don't necessarily know all of it. This gives them the logical conclusion that they should rule over everyone. That said, they are very meticulous in terms of who comes and goes, especially in occupied territory, because it's not uncommon for people to want to resist them. Oftentimes their coming means that people will lose jobs, people will be not necessarily like reorganized, for like a heavy-handed way to say it, but like they come through and they see that someone who would be better off as a soldier is working as a potter. Well, you're conscripted now, that kind of thing. So far as traveling people go, if they're here, that would mean they've actively declared war on the region around Rabbitcaster. So they're at least going to look at you guys with more than like a second glance. If here comes a random troop of vagabonds who are performing circus moving through the area. They won't necessarily tell you no, but if they were to search you guys and find like Grimo's gun, say, or even like knowing what you can do with magic and with the ability to apply a little bit of kinetic energy to a card and throw it at somebody and it explodes, you certainly would be taken in for lack of a better word, questioning.
Be like, if the judges see what you're carrying and they see what I can do, we might not get out of there, with our free. We might be behind bars. I I know we need the money, but outside of us holding our performance outside the city walls, we may just want to pass by.
Grimo nods thoughtfully at this, as do the Burmesians, which tended like both of them kind of look over you and nod thoughtfully, looking back at each other. It's not the worst idea I ever heard. Of course, if they catch us out here, we're probably in just as big a trouble, Kupo. Man, people who don't know what Final Fantasy is are going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out why I'm saying Kupo at the end of my sentences. Look up what a Moogle is. Of course, if we go in and play it cool, they might not even look at us. It's hard to say. And as you guys are having that conversation, you hear the sounds of an actual running motor car off in the distance. And you look down, like you're sitting at kind of like the top of a hill, and then it would go down and around to get to the city. The car is painted gunmetal gray, for lack of a better way to say it, with like so much so that as you look upon it, it reflects the sun, as polished to a chrome finish as this thing is driving up the road. Given that it looks much nicer than any of the vehicles you've seen out here, it must certainly belong to the judges. Grimo looks your way again. Well, looks like we're going to have to talk to him either way, Kupo. Everybody put your stuff away. And he pulls out this like little teeny tiny, it's probably adorable out of context because Moogles are like little tiny little cuddly teddy bears. Pulls out this little pistol and pulls up a bit of the seat in the vehicle. Jams it under and pulls it down, like tries to move stuff around as if to conceal the seat in the first place. The chocobo begins digging its talons into the ground nervously. The Burmesians kind of like make their way to the back of the truck. The Humes go like sit back in, like with the man carrying, not carrying necessarily, but like the pregnant wife leaning on him for support as the Gareth kind of just get on the other side of the chocobo and start petting it, and then up pulls this car. As that happens, Runtling is the only one left in like clear line of sight. As it pulls to a stop, out from the vehicle comes and you've read books about the judges and how their armor used to be all like big and horned and nonsensical. Those days have kind of mostly come and gone, but you certainly recognize a judge when you see one stepping out of the vehicle in chrome colored to match his vehicle from head to foot in the dress of like high-ranking military officers. Where his heart is on his shirt, there's a little pit of a judge helmet with the one horn, not unlike like a unicorn's or a ronso's, like out a little bit, and actually on the pin it does come out a little, as well as a couple that go down and forward, not unlike some dragons you have read about in books. He's flanked by 3 other men who get out of the vehicle carrying rifles. They wear armor, but not so much as like the big heavy full plate, so much as just like a half helm and like a bulletproof vest kind of thing. All of that just gunmetal gray. The man turns your direction because again, everyone else happens to be somewhere else at the moment. Well, I see we have he looks up and down as the soldiers begin fanning out in like all around your guys' caravan. I don't know what we have. You, Banga! What is this? What have I come upon?
You've come upon a group of travelers, my lord.
My lord, I haven't heard that one in a while. He kind of like crosses his arms and looks up into the sky nonchalantly. The proper term is your honor. You recognize a judge when you see one, don't you, boy? The man's raven black hair falls well down, about halfway down his back, but there are enough streaks of gray in it to indicate he must be in Hume age is at least like 50.
I've seen a few in my lifetime and read about them much more, Your Honor.
I see. He nods with the kind of like the satisfaction of having got the term out of you. He nods, moves a little closer. They don't necessarily carry like heavy weapons these days. In combat, a proper judge would serve basically like an advisory role or like a tactical role, as in like teleport in, do the job, teleport out. This one carries on his hip a probably mostly ceremonial saber, and on the other side the thing must be about as long as a Sharpie, give or take, about like 6 inches long, glowing a faint green color. You've seen power rods before, but like you're skilled enough in the art that you would be able to identify one upon looking at it. In this case, if power rod that truly is, it's more powerful than anything you've ever seen, and who knows what comes out of it when he chooses to use it. Well, where are you traveling to? As he gets a little closer, he kind of walks in front of the chocobo. As he does so, he sees the Garif, kind of pauses for a second. Then, as the chocobo looks at him with disdain and he returns the glare, he continues moving until he's basically standing right in front of you.
For some food and rest, Your Honor.
Ah, and where are you from?
I am from Rabbitcaster, Your Honor.
I see. You've traveled all the way from one of the biggest cities in the region to here, looking for food and rest. You're not lying to me, are you?
I have no reason to, Your Honor.
He looks you up and down, looks in the direction of just kind of like sweeping across the truck, as now his flunkies have flanked. I almost tripped over that one. The entire vehicle, and everyone hasn't been rounded up, but they've been identified basically as people there. I see. Super missions, 2 Garif, a pair of Humes, a Banga. And is that a little Moogle in there? He turns to kind of like go up on his tippy toes, though he obviously doesn't need to. He can very clearly see into the vehicle. He's just kind of feigning, I guess not innocence, but nonchalance, for lack of a better word, looking up and seeing like down into the truck as Grimo turns and sees, and he comes clambering out and just, yep, that's us, Kupo. Traveling, looking for food and shelter. Nothing else, Your Honor. Kupo. I don't believe you. As he says that, all of the guards bring their rifles up. Both of the Humes, well, basically everybody at this point, again, has that collective, as suddenly things are getting a lot more serious. Lizard, you have 6 seconds to tell me why you are traveling to our city of Nordo, or And as he kind of hangs on Orr for a little while, the guards all cock their rifles. Well, I'm afraid you'll have more than auto problems today. He begins, as if to almost like be filing his nails, he begins just nonchalantly looking away, but as the seconds tick down, he raises a finger and stops like trying to file the nail, moving forward, starting with his pinky, moves farther forward to his ring finger, comes up over to the middle finger. 3.
Well, what I said is true. We are going to the city for food and rest. We also are going to provide entertainment to the people of the city, or at least we were until we saw the banner of your honors, and we were standing here reconsidering that decision when you approached.
At this point, his thumb is like, all 4 of his fingers are up and his thumb's kind of like half out. I see. You fellows aren't a band, are you? I didn't see any good, again, just playing the fool this whole time, though his whole body is tensed like a tiger about to pounce, basically. He leans over and looks up into the back of the truck. I see no instruments. What is it you do exactly?
I will say, I will show you what I do, if you would permit me.
The man nods.
Okay. So I pull out my standard deck of playing cards and I say, I entertain children with playing cards.
And when we say standard deck of playing cards, do we mean the one that has the pictures of the animals, or
The one he would the one he would normally be carrying, not the one with like pictures on them, but the one he would normally use for his magic tricks.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. So we're talking 4 suits, a bunch of numbers, some royalty, things.
Right, that.
Okay. Gotcha. The man's eyes go kind of curiously wide at this, I suppose, not unlike the child's in that sense of like childlike wonder. Oh, a circus, except for like he's obviously faking it as he has been this whole time. I see. Well, show me.
Sure. So I will do my theatrics and such, and in a more serious note, and I will basically do the pick a card trick with him.
Okay, that makes sense. You hold it out. He kind of gingerly leans forward with one hand while the other hand is like up on his chin, playing with his hair and a bit of goatee as well. I don't know. Everyone! And he begins swinging his like thumb and forefinger. I tried to snap and I can't snap. I'm weak, in a circle, and as they do so, they like with their rifles they point for everybody to move, and it's not long before the entire troop has surrounded you with these guards still rifles up. As this man pulls a card, I am trying to very quietly get a d20 out of my dice bag because you have a limit break. I'm not saying you're using the limit break, but we can call the actual card. I just have to not make a lot of noise on my stream. Yeah, we can use 2d6. That'll land in a similar area. Shwabwam! Okay. The judge pulls a card. And I need to roll one of these for... Okay, sure. He pulls the card. Am I supposed to look at it? Do I tell you? Speak, Banga.
Right. So he pulls a card and I'd say, look at the card.
He
and
nods and
then
does so.
keep to yourself what it is, put it back in the deck, and I will see if I can find the card that you picked.
Of course. Slides the card back.
So I will theatrically shuffle the deck and play around with it, and normally, I won't do what I normally would do, which is be whimsical about it. I'll be deadly serious, and I will flip over the top of the deck, and say, "Is this your card?"
And you know for sure that the 3 of spades is his card. You pull it, and you've done this trick 1,000,000,001 times. This is by the book. Absolutely, it is his card. But as you turn the 3 of spades his direction, his eyes go so wide, as if you had just told him his mother had passed away. Just, no, I had the 7 of clubs. That is not my card. His look of shock kind of goes from shock to anger in the span of about 5 seconds. I don't think you're who you say you are. Well, what do you have to say for yourself, wizard?
I've done everything I can to show you that I am who I say I am. I can offer you nothing else. Your honor.
I see. And then I suppose it falls to your friends. And over the span of about 5 minutes, the Burmesian acrobats set up a very... It's not real high up because you guys don't have a lot of the time necessary under duress to set everything up. It's more so just get like a 10-foot pole and jam it into the ground and run a wire from that to a nearby tree that happens to be about the same size, and they perform tightrope acrobatics as the 2 Garif get the chocobo to jump over the truck and do almost like somersaults and backflips and beg for Geishel greens, things of that nature. The whole time Grimo just kind of standing on top of the hood of the truck, making as much of a show of, this is who we are. Kupo, man, I can't not do a Joe Pesci Moogle now. It's canon. I have to play it. As that's happening, the Humes, who basically serve as the promoters / people in charge of the money, basically, just do their best to keep their heads down. As this is going on, a couple more locals pass by. As they see what is going on, they'd like their very best to get as far away as possible, but the judge is, no, my friends, come, watch, it's a circus. And as he says circus, his hand goes down to his scabbard. He thumbs it a little as if to Rurouni Kenshin it out of the sheath, for lack of a better way to say that. The troupe performs, especially considering there are guns pointed at them, admirably. But when it's all over, the judge just... I am not impressed. Well, if you really are a circus, you certainly need more practice. And if you are not, my superiors would love to have a word with you. And as he says that, one of the guards moves back into the truck, and as if he was able to instinctively know where it was without having to look, just pulls the seat up, and here's the tiniest little pistol you've ever seen in your life. The roads are dangerous, I suppose. All of you will accompany us into our new city. You will perform for my superiors tonight, after which we will decide your fate. He snaps his fingers once, the judge does, and everyone begins moving back in the direction of the car. As the firearms are finally lowered, there's a collective sigh of relief as you look around and you realize that at some point, you're not sure when, the man's scabbard came into contact with your deck box. As you look down, all of your, both the like playing cards and the full art foils, for lack of a, because I know we're doing a lot of magic stuff on your character, for lack of a better way to say it, have been spilled all over the ground. Some of the more expensive of the picture set have fallen in mud holes. You reach down and start pulling. Oh, we can't just do gold chocobos forever. You pull a T-Rexuar card. You pull a card that has, there's several, I guess, rather in rapid succession of the more powerful deities in the world. Like a card that has an image of Bahamut on it. The big bipedal dragon, an image of a kind of werewolf-esque things with horns that hang forward covered in fire, the god Ifrit. A Tonberry does sound good indeed, yes, almost as if the knife could come just straight out the deck. The cards are, if not for the fact that you could cast Prestidigitation on them, they would certainly be ruined. Grimo turns to address his flock once again. Now, I know we're family, Kupo, but I can't ask any of you to go in there. We could try to run if you wanted. I don't know how far we'd get, Kupo. But it looks like we're caught between a rock and a hard place. Everyone? Everyone kind of turns into the direction of Runtling.
Well, I'm not the most intelligent person when it comes to things like this. But we are final performance. Then we should make it such a performance to be worthy of being written down in the history books. The worst fate of all is to not be remembered.
Everyone kind of looks around at each other as you say this. The chocobo warks real loud and stamps its foot in the ground as it does so. The truck is pulled forward a couple inches. Well, all right. We'll make the best of it. Hopefully we can just slip on by, Kupo. And he kind of resoundingly puffs his little chest up, even though he and everyone else are just like full of fear at this point. And the chocobo begins pulling the truck forward. There's a bit of a line to get into the city. Several individuals, not necessarily like you guys, but not unlike either. Travelers of the road, people on vacation, people coming to see family of all shapes and sizes are being stopped at the gate. And there's just that like name, race, magical aptitude, skill set, purpose of visit. Men in armor. Well, not armor. Again, men dressed not unlike the guys with guns you saw. They all nod, and inexorably the line moves forward until it reaches you guys, and name. And as, like, Grimo goes to just, Grimo! Cool! He gets caught up real short as all the guards look up, see you guys, see the chocobo. Ah, yes. Judge Werner has called specifically for you, I believe it was. 1 lizard, 1 teddy bear, 2 masked apes, a pair of rats, and the vagabonds in the back. And your chicken. The chocobo is incensed at being called that. We will find you when we are ready for you. We've made arrangements for you to stay. Oh, wherever. They'll know you're coming. Rest assured. And they kind of turn and stand about a foot uniform apart from each other, a total of 6 guards, as you guys pull into the city. It's pretty put together, despite the fact that there was a recent power change. It doesn't seem like there was much of a fight, which is probably the best for that city, given that the power that the Empire of Judges brings with them means that like they could have just leveled this place if they wanted to. There are several inns, taverns, things of that nature, or I guess in this setting it's not necessarily more like a tavern, but more like there is a hotel that also happens to have a bar. There are several ready, willing, and able to put you up. You guys pull into the nearest one that doesn't look like it's held together with like duct tape and bubble gum. All of you end up, for safety's sake, staying in the same room, which is not super uncommon in like foreign regions, though again, you guys can defend yourselves. It's pretty obvious there's some stuff going down here. You move in, and the tall, blue-skinned Ronso woman who owns the bar just kind of looks at you, says nothing, nods, passes drinks out for everyone, passes food out for everyone, then goes about her business, just kind of casually, quietly cleaning everything from like shot glasses to even like accidentally cleaning a beer bottle and then putting it back. Obviously, she's pretty shook. As the dinner party goes on, Grimo looks in your directions. Well, what do you think, Kupo? You're obviously the smartest one here by more than a little bit.
He would definitely shirk a little bit of being called the smartest in the room. He would be like, I think you underestimate yourselves a little bit. I'm not that bright, but I think that after a little bit of rest and food, I think we'll be all right. I think luck's going to be on our side. And he just flips a couple cards in his hand. Just the ones, like, some of the ones he was having to clean and just looking them over.
Okay. I'm thinking these cards may have a little more bearing on the actual campaign as a whole, so I'm going to roll for them again. The first card that you flip up is on the bestiary, is what it is. Yeah, sure. I didn't necessarily want to do really powerful stuff forever, but the first one you flip up is the image of though it's not all put together like a horse, there are bits missing, kind of like almost as if it were mechanical, slapped together, a giant ring over its back and a horn longer than its like neck and most of its body, whoop, out the front. That being the god Ixion. Secondly, oh, that one, I don't know what that one is. We'll go back one. It would be one more back. Would have it there. Okay, the second one is, they keep coming up real big ones, so I got to do it. The second one is an image of a wolf. You know that Fenrir bridges the gap between astrals much more frequently than others, and basically it just looks like a big, smart wolf, sometimes mistaken for a monster. His fur, much like the full moon behind him, glows a brilliant silver. They're definitely rare cards, and they always, when the kids see them, when the light flashes across them and you can ghost sound like ow as up comes Fenrir. They're a big hit, and they're also really expensive. It's a good thing you have the ability to like straighten them back out, get the dirt off, get the mud off, get the water damage off. The cards have also kind of begun to warp a little bit. As you're doing that, Grimo just, I've seen what you can do, Kupo. I'm pretty good with, well, target practice. Our acrobats are pretty good at dancing circles around folks. The Humes are good at talking The Garifs are good at dealing with the chocobo, but you're the smart one. None of us could understand, Kupo, what it is that you do with the magic and the words in your spellbook. It's nonsense.
I guess I have my moments.
We all do, Kupo. We all do.
Frankly, I'm scared. But luck has always been on my side when I needed it the most. And so I'm confident that considering this is the time when we need luck the most, it'll be there.
Everybody nods.
Let's just give the best performance that we can, and I think we'll be all right. And is there smoking allowed inside the place we're staying?
Yes, it is the 1940s. No one knows any better.
Okay, so
actually, matter of fact, 4 out of 5 dentists probably recommend it still.
So I'm going to pull out a little pipe and puff away a little bit.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm invoking my inner Velociraptor right now.
Fair enough. Okay. Everyone basically does the same. Drinks are ordered. No one has to pay. Drinks are brought to the table basically en masse. The night passes mostly uneventfully. The morning is an entirely different story. You guys wake up basically as the sun is coming up, and the judges never came for you, so you have to assume today would be the day, and they'd find you when they're ready for you. And then you guys awake to the sounds of people screaming in the streets and the sounds of things burning. A quick cursory glance out the window is all you needed to see that the people of Nordo have rebelled. It's very clear that someone from somewhere knew that the judges were going to come this way, and rather than face them openly, they just kind of armed the people with weapons they don't necessarily know how to use. Men and women of, it's hard to say, again, you not being of their race, roughly probably 15, 16, 17 years old, carrying heavy machine guns, and they can't handle the kick of the thing, so they kind of just spray every direction at the direction of judges. And there's just there's so many more of them, and they're so armed enough that it seems like as of the conflict breaking out, it's not going to last long, and the surprise will be enough to run the judges off. It doesn't take Grimo long to scramble up out the window and start firing down in the direction of the guards as well, or in the direction of the judges, rather. You understand?
Yeah.
How do you proceed?
I'm going to laugh up into the sky and say, Grimo, what'd I tell you? Luck. And I'm going to grab my playing cards and charge them up, and let's start chucking.
Fair enough. You step out and you throw the card. The cards are, you are definitely more than 10 feet up and 10 feet away as you try to throw. But nevertheless, it's not hard to land on somebody's ammo belt or a bit of explosive something or another, and then suddenly there's a poof, and then off goes supplies, vehicles, things of that nature, and part of the cards, indeed. All of them explode in a fiery mass. The combat, rather the Battle of Nordo, as you're sure it will be called, is over in about an hour. Of course, the city and its folks take heavy losses because, again, they don't know what they're doing. They are given pretty toys and said, point at them and do this. That doesn't make them trained soldiers. That gave them the element of surprise and numbers that have now been greatly diminished. The troop as a whole survives cuts and bruises on all of you, but nothing that won't good night's rest get rid of, that kind of thing. But it
I'm
becomes.
going
Oh, go ahead.
to. I was going to say, depending on how wounded I am, my first thought after the battle is calmed itself down. I'm going to be running out to assist, in trying to help people as much as I can, especially children.
Okay, understood. It is a mess, but you're able to do so. Nothing prevents you. The fighting is over. Everyone in the troop basically does the same thing, seeing to the wounded, setting up basic triage centers, some of which end up being in the back of the truck. Some of them end up being in the truck themselves for the smaller things that you run across, like a couple of Tartaru that have been pretty badly burned, but they're about the size of Grimo. They can fit basically anywhere. They end up using the front seat of the truck as just a place to lie up and be dealt with, as what white mages exist in this part of the world come and see to the wounded. The day passes. You guys push towards the evening. Everyone, because it's definitely still not the safest environment in the world, everyone, the troop included, ends up staying in the city hall building. It's big enough to house everyone, although not the most comfortable place in the world. You guys find yourselves all huddled in around a radio as a really staticky Vieira lisp carries across the airwaves. The story is about what you would expect, tales of the bravery of those who have fallen, tales of the judges being pushed back, so on and so forth. At the end, there's a simple: we advise everyone, our brothers and sisters in Nordo, if they can, flee. The judges will return. When they do, we will deal with them. But for now, you are not safe. The whole room kind of quietly buzzes as this revelation wasps over all of you. The Burmesians turn each other's directions and, well, we can go and stay with our family for a while, I suppose. The Humes aren't super capable of long distance travel because, again, the woman she's expected almost any day now. As they look worried and she begins to start welling up, a pair of Ronso come up and, well, we will take her in. You, pointing at the man, you, the woman, you will live with Ronso. We will raise the child. And when they say raise the child, the Humes get a little meh at that notion. Nevertheless, they take the offered shelter. The Garif report, just moving up to Grimo. Keep our share of the gold. Fix the truck. We're taking our chocobo. And we're leaving. And they kind of just take off. Not run, take off, but without another word. They leave the inn. Grimo turns your direction. Well, what about you, Quo? What are you gonna do, wizard? Well,
For many years, this troop has been my home. It's been my family. And I've always fled from place to place when things have gotten bad. And I think that this place is going to see more bad things happen when the judges return. But I don't feel like fleeing. There's too many people fell here to defend it for me to just up and leave.
I understand how you feel, Kupo. Well,
Break it up separate ways.
indeed.
Somebody should stay.
Well, kid, I'll tell you what,
I,
Kupo. And as you go to say that, he withdraws a pretty large pouch from under the vest he wears. Like he opens up the vest, a la Resident Evil. What are you buying? In that motion to pull out a hefty pouch of gill. Nordo has a decent sized airship port, and I hear, Kupo, that there's a ship, the Opportunity, I think they called it, is heading for. I didn't catch it all. Something along the lines of some place in the clouds where they're looking for people to help clear the wilderness of monsters and stuff, Kupo. I'll stay here. I'll watch out for them. They find me, I can talk my way out of anything, Kupo. They find you have the magic you do. I think we both know what happens to you. Please, my friend, Kupo. And he moves your direction and then flutters up to be eye height with you. Hands you the pouch of gill. Take this as a gift from me, Kupo. Don't tell the others I'm hiding money from them, but you know how it is. You got a family back home. You got to worry about all the bills that are coming due for them, Kupo. He puts a finger over his mouth as if to just shh.
I take the gill that he offers me and I thank him and say it has been an honor and a pleasure to be a part of your family, and I will never forget you. And I hope that the road you travel is a lot better than this. And I'm gonna just basically prepare myself to either I'm gonna I'm like I might take that airship.
Okay. As you begin musing to yourself, Grimo makes his way back.
Help these people if I can.
As you begin musing to yourself, Grimo makes his way back and out of the building you guys are staying in. He's gone for perhaps 10 minutes at most before he returns. As he does so, he's carrying with him an ornate quarterstaff. The bottom has a little tiny steel spike, as if you could use the butt end as a spear, or if you were to bap it into the ground, you wouldn't necessarily cause damage. As it runs up, it's with your hat, it's about as tall as you are, the end of which kind of looks like a giant croquet mallet, or a hammer with the back end bent too far. You could certainly whap somebody with the front end or flip over and stab in. A couple inches down from the top, there's another bit of metal which has all 4 suits that you would find on your deck of playing cards: the hearts, the spades, the clubs, the diamonds, running alongside it. My friend, this is a gift for you, Kupo. And he has to drag it, Grimo does, because it's considerably taller than he is, and every third or fourth step he has to jump flap to get enough momentum to carry this gigantic, for him, thing your direction. As you pick it up, you see that all 7 of the troop have signed it, running up and down the length of the staff. Take this with our blessing. Go. Start over. We'll handle it here, Kupo.
I start to tear up a little bit, and I attempt to hug Grimo, and it's like I say words cannot express how much all of you mean to me.
Grimo looks real awkwarded out as you grab him, being much, much bigger than he is. And he wraps his little arms around your leg, and because he can't quite reach your back really, and just kind of like pats you on the knee. Now, there's one more thing about that staff there. Well, I've seen what you can do with them cards, Kupo, and you need to work on how far you can, wing them at folks. And he kind of like waddles over after he breaks out of the embrace to the quarterstaff, flips it over, and along the back there's a little groove about the width of a playing card. Don't do it in here now, Kupo. You're liable to shoot somebody's face off. Put one of your cards in here, and it works like a rifle. You aim it, you think, and the card will. And as he's saying the foof, he does backflips in the air, and he almost dabs with the second foof to note the direction of like how the card should fly off. In a mechanical sense, for turning in a backstory, because no one has to do that much work without being rewarded, the quarterstaff functions as a quarterstaff. In addition, it sort of functions like a crossbow, for lack of a better way to say it, in terms of your ability to hurt people with cards. Normally, those have a range increment of 10 feet. It's no action to load them into this thing, and basically, as you kind of like magic into it and sense it out, he's correct. In the same way you can charge a card with kinetic energy and throw it, the same can be done here, but you can basically overcharge it. Best way I can think to say it. And while doing so and firing a card in this way, the range increment of your throwing cards goes from 10 feet to 30 feet.
You said 30?
30 feet, yeah. Like a kinetic blast, basically.
Right.
Well, you know how it is with goodbyes, Kupo.
Cool.
I ain't about them is what it is. I'm sure that ship's waiting for you in the dock now. I'm going to go do what I can do out here, Kupo. And with that, Grimo turns and also kind of tearing up, kind of trying to like have that facade of masculinity that Grimo often carries with him as he turns. You can see his little hand as he moves out in the direction of like the door and to leave the place. The ship, in fact, is waiting at the dock. It's a big affair run by these. You've never seen them before. They're perhaps 5 feet tall, real slender purple creatures with hoods carried up over their heads at all times. They don't say anything, but they seem to recognize you're coming. You board opportunity, and that is where we will leave the Lizard Wizard before session 1. Josh was the first person in my entire life I was ever exposed to roleplay with, actually. Turns out. And it was pretty good here. I did not think I was going to need to remember a Tonberry, a gold chocobo, not a Tonberry, not a Tonberry so much, but a gold chocobo, a 3 of spades, and some summons from Final Fantasy X as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to steal those for later. That was super good, and of course you can see more of the Lizard Wizard as we break into... I've titled the game Final Fantasy Heralds of Dawn. And you can see more of the Lizard Wizard real soon as we roll these backstories out in that. And you can see his build this coming Saturday on Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit, because it's an MP system. It's not a spell slot system.
Which I will be studying rigorously so that I understand how to do the mechanics.
Starting at level 7
what I'm
going to
be doing.
Starting at level 7 in a new system is definitely a thing. In any case, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. And we'll be back at you, I wouldn't necessarily say next week, though we're going to stagger these out recording over the course of a few weeks. I think I'll probably see you like tomorrow with our next backstory. Yeah, tomorrow sounds good. Say bye, Josh.
Bye.